Hello friends, welcome back to our tutorials. We are still continuing with our expert Angular interview series part 7. So this is the 7th part of the series. If you haven't checked out our first 6 part, I recommend you to please do so. It has a lot of valuable information which will help you prepare for your Angular interview that you are about to attend. If you have any doubts, any questions, please drop them in the comment section below. I'll be happy to help you for free. In this episode, we are going to cover all the top interview question and answers on Angular routing. Before we get started, I am putting in a lot of hard work, friends. So please subscribe to my channel to keep supporting and encouraging me. Let's get started with top interview question and answers on Angular routing. So the first question is, what is Angular router? Angular router is a mechanism in which navigation happens from one view to the another as user performs application tasks. It borrows the concept of browser applications navigation. So Angular router is a module which will help us with all the routing requirements in our application, be it passing through post, get, interceptors, po request response, the entire routing mechanism like child routes, multiple child routes, etc. Everything. So the router module provides all the built-in capabilities to handle all the routing requirements of our application. So what is the purpose of base href tag? So this is a two-way question. The first is define what is base href tag. The other is what is the purpose of base href tag. So the routing application should add element to index.html as the first child in the tag in order to indicate how to compose navigation URLs. If app folder is the application root, then you can set the href value as slash, that is pointing to the root. Now remember, if you open any index.html file, it will always have a base href tag. It has to have it. Otherwise, it will not work. The navigation, the launch, the pointing of the URL, it will not work. If you are hosting the application in the root directory, you have to add slash to indicating that it's always starting, Angular application is starting from the root directory. The other way of asking the question is it compulsory to have base href tag? Yes, it is mandatory to add, otherwise the links and the navigation in the system routing will not work. What are the router imports? So the Angular router, which represents a particular component view from the URL, is not given as part of the Angular core. So it is not part of the core. You need to import it separately. It's available under @angular/router. So we need to import these required router modules into our code. For example, in the app module, we will import router module and routes. Import router module comma routes from angular/router. Now what is router outlet? So router outlet is a directive from the router library. It acts as a placeholder that marks the spot in the template. So if you open any index.html, your file wherever you want, you can insert router outlet. This tells that where should the output come and get inserted. You can have multiple router outlets in the application, but at least you should have one. Now what are router links? Router link is a directive on the anchor tags which the router control over those elements. Since the navigation paths are fixed, you can assign string values to router link. Now if you see here, for anchor tag we are giving directive a router link equal to /to-do list. So this is nothing but a href. How we give, instead of href, now we give the directive router link. So when the user clicks on this any of the router link, the output will get loaded in the router outlet. What are active router links? So router link active is again a directive which will toggle the CSS class. Like if you want to style the active link in a certain way, you can use the class, you can use the directive router link active. If whatever link is active, it will apply that class. What is router state? Now router state is a tree of activated routes. Every node in the tree knows about the consumed URL segments. You can access the current router state from anywhere in the application using the router service and router state property. So remember, whenever we want to get any router information, be it router state, active route link, we can get it all by injecting router in our constructor. In any component or service, you can inject router like how it is shown here, and we can just say router dot router state. We will get the router state as well as the activated route. So that's a simple way to extract router state as well as activated using the router that we inject in the constructor. So what are router events? Now router emits navigation events through router.events property. Now we need to subscribe and we should know which sequence we want to use, right? So it always starts with navigation start, route config load, recognize, check start, etc. etc. You can see all the different events. Now when you talk about it, I'll give you an example. Now I have a requirement that when I navigate from one screen to another, I want to reset the URL, right? So you can do it by when navigation starts or when the navigation has ended. So you can use those events to capture the type of functionality you want in your application. Now, what is an activated route? So activated route contains the information about a route associated with a component loaded in an outlet. It can also be used to traverse the router state tree. The activated route will be injected as a router service to access the information. Now similarly, just like how we learned to insert router, you can also insert activated route from Angular router and input it in the constructor like how I have put it in the example. So you can inject activated route and create an object route.params.pipe and you can get the observable which will have all the data. Now how do you define routes? So I've given this code. It's nothing but you define the routes here and then you inject the router.module for root because you want it at the root component, then suggest the wrap routes. I'm going to cover this in an example for you later, but for now go through these steps, create the route, import the router module, and for provide for app routes in the for root. This is the two-step process that you have to do. What is the purpose of wildcard route? So for example, if you have defined 5 routes in your application and you want to create something like a custom 404 page or a page not found, you can put path as asterisk asterisk. It will say that this is a wild card route, which means when no route matches, it should go here to this particular component. Do I need a routing module always? No, we don't need a routing module. You can always, it's by design choice. You can skip it and directly insert it in your app module also. But it's a good recommended practice that we create a routing module always. All right, so that brings us to end of part 8. And we will, in the next series, I'm going to cover all about Angular compilation, interview question and answers. So stay tuned. Let me know. I am looking forward to hear from you. If you have any doubts, queries, comments, just add in the comment section. I'll be happy to help you for free. Please, friends, subscribe to my channel to keep supporting and encouraging me. Thank you so much. See you in the next episode of Angular compilation top interview question and answers. Take care.